Watch this scene for a few moments, and what do you see? Do you see a story? A lot of people will just see chaos, but photographers who understand storytelling will see something completely different. I want to show you the difference between taking pictures and telling stories with your camera. A lot of people think that storytelling with photos is some sort of mystical art that takes years to master. In this video, I'm going to break this down into the exact 4-step framework that will turn an ordinary photo into a compelling story, so you can do it too. I'm going to show you each of these 4 elements one by one, and by the end you'll be able to spot them every time you want to take a storytelling photo. So right, let's have a walk, see if we can find a location, and I'll show you what step number 1 is. First element every story needs is a clear subject. It doesn't have to be a person, but it needs to be something that anchors your eye. It can be a physical object, a building, or in the case I've got here today, statue of Eric Morecambe. The key thing about a subject, it should make it obvious what the photo is about. Now the second element is environmental context. So what are you going to include in your background that tells us a little bit more about the subject and what story you're trying to tell? You might need to go a little bit wider than you first anticipated, and you need to look carefully around the edges of your frame and see what you're including. Context answers the questions like where or when or why. The same subject with a different context will tell an entirely different story. The key thing also here is the background should support the subject, not take away from it or distract your eyes away from what you're really trying to say. Now we're beginning to get somewhere. We've got a subject and we've set some context, so our story is starting to build. What do we do next? If you found these tips useful, then make sure you've signed up for my free ebook, How to Use Light Like a Pro Photographer. There's a link in the description. The third element is details. Small elements that add layers or create questions in the viewer's mind. Details that viewers might not discover until they look again. Some elements that add some mystery or context or emotional depth. Often they're found in the foreground or maybe in the background or right on the edge of the frame. Look for those while you wait for that perfect moment. The details are what separate good photos from memorable ones. But there's one final element that brings everything to life. And the final element is that Cartier-Bresson decisive moment. I was lucky. Guy managed to get his dog just to sit by the statue while I grabbed a shot. So the key things to look out for when you're trying to anticipate that decisive moment. Don't just go for any moment, but go for something where there's an implied action, like something is going to happen. It might just be a gesture, a movement, even a change in the light. You'll almost certainly have to wait for this and watch your scene carefully. Now that you've got all your composition right, it's got its context, you've got some environment in it, and you've got some details, you're all set up. Just wait patiently, and eventually something will happen that will just turn your photo from an ordinary photograph into a compelling story. Let me just share with you a few other tips, the common mistakes to avoid. First thing is going too wide, getting too much clutter and distracting things in your background. The second thing is finding something that looks pretty, but it doesn't really have much meaning, so it doesn't make an interesting shot. The third thing is not including any little details that add that layers and extra depth to your photo. And finally, not anticipating that decisive moment and missing the shot. So keep your wits about you, keep looking around and look for what's about to develop, and then you'll nail it every time. But why not give it a go yourself? Just use that 4-element framework. Find your subject, set the background up so that it gives some context, look for some little details that'll add some layers and interest to your photos, and look around, see what's about to happen, see if you can get that decisive moment. It doesn't have to be perfect. The more you practice it, the better you'll get at it. So I hope you enjoyed that video and you found it useful. I'm going to do some more on storytelling, so make sure you've subscribed to the channel if you want to see those. In the meantime, go out and have some fun with your camera, and I look forward to seeing you next time.